Hello, I'm Zorab and this is Byther Farm, and today, well, I'm going to make the most of the autumn sunshine. So I thought I'd get out my trusty hoe and just hoe off a few weeds. I try and keep them hoed and keep the weeds down on the pathways because my intention with all this wood chip on the pathways is to lift it and turn it into the beds or onto the beds when it's broken down enough to look like soil. So this pathway, this wood chip has been down on here for about a year, maybe a little more. It still has a way to go yet before it's looking really lovely. It's pretty good. I could transfer it, and then I could ask Mr. J to bring some more wood chips over. And I feel really bad because Hugh did all those wood chips the other day, and I'm only doing, I don't know, a barrow load or maybe two at a time. Then my back starts hurting, and I'm listening to that. I'm not going ahead and just carrying on because it will knock me out longer term in terms of being able to do stuff out here. But it does mean I'm having to ask, friends like Hugh and Mr. J and Erica when she comes over if they don't mind just moving a couple of barrow loads at a time. But I could. Now I'm thinking about it. It might be a really smart move to get the weeds in this bed sorted out. Just to chop some of them off at ground level, get the cardboard down on them, and then put this wood chip on top of the cardboard, as well as some of the duck bedding, and then some other wood chips as well, to give it a really good layer, which would reduce the weeds next year, I hope. Well, that's my theory. That really might work. So I'll just hoe off the worst of the weeds in this bed. This is the one that had the runner beans in it, so I'm leaving the runner beans in. I've cut those off I say at ground level. It's not really, it's more like 6 inches above ground level, so there's a little bit of stem so I can tell where they are, and my plan is just to leave them in over the winter, because the ones in the bed two more beds down that I left in previously grew again this year. Unfortunately they were inside a brassica tunnel, but that didn't seem to stop them. They still grew, and they even produced some beans, which was amazing. So I know that they will survive here. That doesn't mean all of them will, but it's certainly worth a try. And Mr. J and I were talking earlier on about, do we have this as the bean bed, or one over there or here, or do we create a new bean tunnel over in what is Big Whitesfield at the moment, but won't be for very long, and actually make some sort of feature out of it? And we just can't decide. So in the meantime, I will get this bed covered over, and I'll be very careful not to cover up the beans that are in here, and we can make that decision as the year goes on. But we don't need to make that decision really until next spring. I'd quite like to get it done sooner than that, just because I want to build the tunnel. Oh, now the other thing I've noticed, and I'm not sure whether I'm looking at the right thing, is possibly there's a piece of bergamot in here. That's a monarda. That, or it could possibly be a weed. I think it's a weed. Now I think about it, there was a bergamot plant in here. I planted one a couple of years ago. But I planted two. I planted 2 bergamots, and they were really lovely colour. And one I lifted and put into the raised herb bed that I made earlier in the year. But I left the other one in the ground here. And I thought it was in this bean bed, but it could have been in the other bean bed, which is where the brassicas are. I'll have to have a look. So I'm doing a really rough chop and drop with these weeds effectively, and then I'll bring over some cardboard and get that down. We'll go and get the cardboard. So I've got plenty of cardboard. All my friends and my family save cardboard for me. This is all okay apart from the odd sticky label which I'll need to take off. Okay, so there we go, there's a nice big piece of cardboard, and what I want to do is cover all the weeds, but not cover the plants. So I either need to tear out a section for the plants to go, or just try and do something clever with the existing cuts in it. I have weed suppressing membrane on the ground underneath the wood chip pathways. So I'm going to tuck this under that weed suppressing membrane. And that should exclude all the light from being able to get at the weeds. And hopefully it will stop the weeds growing. For this one, I've actually got it going over the pathway because there's quite a lot of weeds growing in that path, and this will be a way to help prevent those, and it also quite neatly allows me to put the cardboard around this plant here. So this is the stump that's left over from the beans, and it's got the main stem and then 2 more shoots coming off it, so hopefully next year when that grows again it will be even more vigorous. So I'm just going to work my way along and across this, putting the cardboard on it. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment, or both, and if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. So I'm cutting out a niche out of the cardboard where each of the plants are, to allow the cardboard to sit fairly flat on the ground, but without rubbing against any of the stems and damaging the actual stems of the plants. And because my enthusiasm for completing this project is likely to run out much sooner than that bed is actually covered in cardboard, I'm going to cover that cardboard with duck bedding, with the wood chips from the pathways and some wood chips from our big wood chip pile before I move on to the next section, so that way the wind can't blow the cardboard all around the garden and undo the good work that I've just done. Well, I've made a start, and although I have masses of enthusiasm, I'm running out of energy quite quickly. So I've done about 6 feet along here, got the cardboard down, moved the wood chips from the pathway that are now mostly composted up onto the cardboard, put some the used duck bedding on it. I've been quite careful to keep it away from the plant stems. Although duck bedding isn't like chicken bedding, it won't burn the plants in quite the same way. But even so, as the actual bedding is breaking down, I don't particularly want that to be touching the stems of the beans. But it's a start. It is a start. And what I have just noticed is that just over here there is a little tiny self-sown cyclamen plant, which I'm delighted about. So I'm going to lift that, pop it into a pot, and then that will go into my perennial border with the other cyclamen. Oh, I love cyclamen. They remind me of my dad. They make me feel a bit emotional, but I'm really pleased to have found that little one to be able to add to my little collection of, well, they're nearly all self-sown. So once I've got that cyclamen into a pot, I'm heading back inside. Erica is on her way over today, and no doubt we will have much conversation and planning on what we're going to be doing in the kitchen courtyard. And so wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for today, I hope it's a good one. And I also hope you'll join me again tomorrow for a live chat.